You're describing the worst case scenario of imposter syndrome that I can fathom right now. Like, this is real time. You could make an action comedy out of this, and you would be the goofy buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I
Gomer
was on,
friggin' Pyle.
yeah,
Like,
a complete mess. Oh God, Gomer Pyle, yeah. And that's exactly how I felt. So all these guys are just looking at me and telling me about how I'm going to get myself killed, I'm going to get them killed. And I feel it acutely because I don't want to be the guy that lets everybody down.
Hello everyone, and welcome to No More Strangers. I'm your host, JT Erickson. In this episode, I sit down with my friend and former colleague, Roman Bercot. Roman is someone that I have recently reconnected with, and I'm so glad that I did. Recorded in Aliso Viejo, California, this conversation showed a side to Roman that I had not been aware of when we worked together nearly 17 years ago. And the path he has taken through life is one which he conveys with a thoughtfulness and introspection which I found to be quite compelling. A quick note, there is mention of suicide in this episode. If this is a sensitive topic for you, please take care while listening. With that, thank you again for choosing to spend time with me today. I hope that you enjoy the episode, as well as getting to know Roman as a person, hopefully leaving you with one less stranger in your life.
and we're live. Roman Bercot. Man, it is freaking good to see you. It has been like 17 years.
Yeah, just about that.
Yeah.
Right after my son was born, we were working together.
Yeah. So wow, he's fully grown. I've never even seen him outside of the picture in the front of the house.
He's upstairs sleeping still, of course, as a 17-year-old should.
That track. I love that for him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so in 17 years, it seems like some things have changed. And I really appreciate you inviting me into your house. I haven't even been in Aliso Viejo in that long, at least. So it was kind of a cool little drive through down memory lane getting here on the 5.
Yeah, it's good to have you. I'm glad you could make it, and I'm glad we reconnected because it has been forever. And I don't do a great job of keeping in touch with people, especially from the work context. Moving forward, there's a few that every now and then you kind of chat a little bit with, but
Yeah.
So this is a rare treat.
Yeah, and I'd say I'm not good at that either, but apparently it's a thing that I do. So here we are.
As evidenced by all the episodes of the podcast, right?
Yeah, all like, I don't know, by the time this comes out, there might be 7 or 8. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Hey, we're going to keep going. And yeah, it kind of cracked me up going through your feed and looking at stuff. It's like, oh, wait, you have had at least 2 or 3 podcasts of your own.
I'm on the second one.
You're on your second one. Okay. I can never remember anything. Yeah, and it's kind of like, okay, a little serendipity. I'll hit you up and ask about that too. On top of one of your posts, I think that actually brought you and me back into the same circle was around managing PTSD, and I definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah, it was really cool when you reached out after I posted about that, because you get a lot of likes and not a lot of engagement because it is pretty personal. I don't think a lot of people are necessarily comfortable to discuss. But yeah, I've tried to just make it something that I share openly about.
And I really think that's important. I mean, to your point, not a lot of people openly discuss it, and I don't understand the stigma around mental health and mental health support. But we're living in an era where there's so much discussion around it, especially among veterans. I mean, you can't throw a stone at a podcast list and not see some. This is the best metaphor I've come up with today. But it seems like every other episode is somebody discussing. I mean, this just betrays what I listen to, but it's constantly being discussed in new ways, and I'm really appreciative of it. Even though very clearly I am not a veteran, mental health support seems to be pushing through that community in a rapid rate. And I think that's going to pay big dividends for us as a society down the line.
Yeah, I see 2 major drivers about the conversation and around mental health. It's obviously the veterans issues, and particularly veteran suicide is just a freaking disaster.
Yeah.
So important to discuss it, to try to make some improvements there. Historically, veterans have just suffered in silence as part of the culture, right? Like when you're on active duty, you can't complain about your feelings and stuff like that. Nobody wants to hear it, and you just shut up and suck it up. But then that learned behavior, and even really to a large degree coping mechanism, when you get out, is then counterproductive to having healthy relationships with your wife and your kids and your community. So yeah, veteran suicide was a major driver. And then I think the COVID pandemic really hit people hard on their mental health and has forced us to acknowledge more of that even into the workplace, and letting people know that, hey, if you need some space to work on yourself or to get some help, that's absolutely appropriate and encouraged. Where again, I mean, my mom had mental health issues back in the 80s, and can't talk about that, or you can let people know that you're struggling when she had every good reason to be struggling. And so I think those two things have really kind of brought it to a head, and I'm grateful for the public discourse about it. One of the reasons I try to be really open about my PTSD is that most of it comes from military training and not from combat. So I'm not a combat veteran. The training itself just messed me up. And
So interesting.
yeah.
And I think that's important to highlight as well, because most conversation that I have with folks just sort of out in the world, when they think about PTSD, it is explicitly around combat activity or combat duty. And you start reading into it, and it's, if you have a car accident, it's going to do the exact same thing to your mental faculties as being in a firefight. Your brain doesn't know the difference between trauma. It just knows that something severe occurred to it, which shook your psyche in ways that it can't recover from easily, at least not in our current society.
Right. I mean, I've learned to reframe PTSD as, and some people really get into the weeds on, like, don't call it PTSD. It's not a disorder. This is a logical, adaptive behavior of your brain to survive never encountering the same thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. Most people think, especially with veteran PTSD, there's combat horrors of war.
Right.
And then there's, unfortunately, a lot of military sexual trauma. And that's a major driver of...
I never even thought about that.
Veteran PTSD and veteran suicide. Is a lot of it's driven by that.
And I mean, it always, because of the conversations that I hear occurring, I always expect that there's more proactive work being done for outreach to veterans or even active military personnel around managing or coping with PTSD. And then I'll talk to some friends that are current active duty, and they all acknowledge they have it, and it's not time. And then every once in a while, and I hate to say it in this casual way, but every once in a while, a friend will tell me that one of their friends just committed suicide as a veteran and had been struggling with, you name it, the addiction, alcoholism, just intense, over-the-top sexual activity, just to cope with whatever's going on. And that's no judgment, by the way, when I say this, because we are all attempting to deal with the world as we see it, or the best that we can manage it. And it just, because again, of all the technologies and all of the work that's being done, I'm always constantly surprised that this still occurs at the rate that it does. And maybe we're just on the bleeding edge of awareness, and that it's taking its time to work its way through the system.
Yeah, I mean, like most things in this country, we struggle with shiny object syndrome. And so when we finally reach a boiling point to where people are aware that, veterans are struggling and need help, and then maybe Congress puts together the money for funding for extra research programs and things like that, and then a lot of really great work gets done, but then we have that tendency to want to say, like, okay, cool, got that PTSD thing handled. Hey, we got that veteran suicide thing handled.
Right.
We saw, 20% reduction.
We allocated X million dollars to the research, so it's settled. Like, we're done now, right? Yep. We can move on to the next shiny object, the next part of the media narrative.
Well, we've got a new crisis, right? Yeah. There's always a new crisis that is competing with the old crisis for resources and hearts and minds. And hopefully that doesn't sound cavalier about there's lots of needs.
Yeah. I don't know that fair. I don't think it's cavalier. I think it's just an observation on the current state of how things operate. And the world is a complex system.
Yeah.
Comprised of other systems that are also complex.
Right. Look, I mean, as we record this, within Southern California, we've had the wildfires yet again. I mean, unfortunately, this is just kind of common occurrence, and sometimes it's just worse than others.
Yeah.
But I was surprised and appreciative that the president said, I'm going to go to California, but I'm going to go to North Carolina first. Because what happened in North Carolina? Oh, yeah, a freaking hurricane came in.
But wasn't that like months ago?
It was months ago, right.
So, okay. I don't know what the state is over there.
So likewise, I haven't heard a word about it since it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And so same example of like, oh, we've got this crisis and we're going to do the FEMA thing and we're going to send in counselors and donations. And a couple months later, I'm sure they're fine, right? Like, now we've got a new fire to fight. No pun intended. Hey.
Awful pun. I assume it was intended.
No, I mean, just that we are perpetually in firefighting mode with all of our crises. And so sustained mental health benefits, particularly for veterans, will always be a political football, just because it's the kind of thing that requires a forever commitment. And I think that's what we've learned the hard way, that Congress is not thinking along those lines when they authorize a foreign war. They're not saying, oh, yeah, we can spend the next 20 years fighting this country and producing disabled veterans that we are now going to have to honor our commitments to for the next whatever.
Theoretically, they're not particularly interested in it because they have, max 4 more years on their current term.
That's right.
And they're going to spend 2 of those years campaigning for the next term. So it's this very iterative short-term frame of consideration on making their decisions. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think we need to have those cycles,
right?
But we have to recognize that it produces potentially unintended consequences all around short-term planning versus long-term.
The same thing you see in a company, right? If you're doing a quarterly strategy cycle, you're trying to get numbers up just in time to report results. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that comes at the expense of, hey, what are we building for the next 5 years?
And hopefully you've got strategists in place or appropriate executives with, I know, right? This is going to be the greatest episode sound ever. I'm excited, but he's a cute little bird up there.
We went outside so that we wouldn't hear my wife's bird inside.
Correct. That is the irony of this situation. And it's also funny to me because all the clouds are leaving. We're super thankful for the rain this last night and this morning, but it is beautiful out again.
Yeah, it's really nice.
But we're doing our best, gang.
Let me know, though, if you want to go in.
Nah, this is fine.
No problem.
This will be fine. And if it's not, it's not. I'll edit something. That's going to be caught by the Nemoto core device, so we'll be...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We will see how amazing... It keeps blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I know we're getting away from long-term versus short-term decision-making and all that, but I don't really know how much more we want to beat that horse, because I think we largely agree, and I don't know, it's just sort of one of the traps that we just have to be aware of. But again, I guess on the corporate side of things, it's hoping that senior or executive leadership has that long-term strategy, and that all of the short-term strategies or tactics that are being put in place are leading toward securing that vision.
Yeah.
It's just the consistency can be wildly difficult.
Sure. And then again, on the government comparison to a corporation, imagine if your CEO had to fight for his job every 4 years or be replaced. And if he gets replaced, all of your executive management is automatically completely exchanged out.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily recipe for consistency and long-term.
Yeah, it might make us look schizophrenic on the world stage.
That would never happen.
It would never happen. No one ever believes that. And I was thinking about exactly this yesterday or 2 days ago, and it almost feels like it's an intended feature, in order to keep things balanced over the long term. Honestly, like it feels like a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, my particular political bent, not that anybody cares, is just that we need more than 2 parties. And
guess who agrees with you?
Yeah. I think particularly in that arena, by having to govern by coalition, by having lots of different voices engaged, that turnover creates the opportunity for us to say, like, again, as a country, in the democratic process, yes, hey, I'm not happy with the way things are going, and so now you're going to be accountable to me. but with this kind of two-party duality, binary thinking, it just, yeah, it's whiplash for sure.
Whiplash. It's wild swings of the pendulum.
Yeah.
And everybody ends up just appealing to the small segments of the base to make sure that they're active in the process, which is good. Everybody should be active in the process.
Right.
It provides us a better median for sustainability long-term instead of what we have at present, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it has really been a wild ride.
It's a wild ride. It's amazing how little news I watch anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And even friends who have been addicted to MSNBC, CNN, Fox are all turning it off now. They're done. They're done.
I mean, that was my core reason I closed out my Facebook account. Gosh, it's probably been 10 years ago. And at the time, people were like, well, how are you going to keep up with what's going on? I was like, important stuff still finds me. When there's something really worth knowing, it has a way of reaching me, even though I'm not on Facebook. Of course, I'm obviously a really great person because I shut off my Facebook account. Meanwhile, there's Twitter and even LinkedIn.
Like, oh God, you're so active on LinkedIn.
Still a media consumption junkie.
It's also choosing how you want to use these tools. I was talking yesterday with my friend Gerard, and I mean, people can hear it if they want to. His take is that these social media platforms are essentially a blight on society and one of the worst things. And he's not probably wrong. But also it's forcing this evolution in human engagement across the board where we're sort of being forced to have tribes see other tribes and holy crap, is it cool to watch? I mean, it's a train wreck, but we're all learning from that train wreck at the same time. I'm taking sort of a glass half full approach here.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that's so hard to be nuanced about because you're right, or Gerard's right, that in a lot of ways, social media is optimized to make you the product, and therefore it's a blight on society. At the same time, the democratization of publishing, the ability to share ideas, that's why I really do still mostly enjoy LinkedIn, because of the professional veneer over things. You get less politics and less personal and less ranting and less trolling. It's still there, but it's not like it was on other platforms.
I actually see it get called out on LinkedIn.
That too, yeah.
Yesterday there was some post, and I don't even want to go into it because it's a whole stupid thing that's occurring in real time. But people in the comments, extremely professional, very intelligent people, all came together and said, "Hey, we aren't here for politics. This is how we're maintaining our professional careers and connections. Please stop doing this."
Yeah,
it's like, oh, so wait, we're going to have polite conversation? And what are the elements you're not supposed to speak about in polite conversation at the dinner table? Religion and politics?
And money and sex?
Sure. Oh, gosh, I don't even think about that. You're right. Yeah, but you're right.
Right.
And we're maybe watching our systems or societies return to that as an idea. And this is probably naive, which is something I am frequently accused of being. But maybe we're moving back toward understanding what a polite society can be.
I think at some point we have to learn how to police ourselves, because the alternative is ultimately always going to be some kind of censorship or authoritarianism. If we can't have truly uncensored social media where anybody can say what they want when they want, then damn it, we're going to have to figure out how to do it without just being a bunch of jerks.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Very well said. This is exactly why we can't have nice things, is because
or in my house, because my hands are always filthy. This is a funny thing my wife says. This is why we can't have white things.
Right.
The joke there being, I am white.
This is perfect. I took it literally. I'm like,
it's both. It's both. Yeah, no whitewash cloths.
Conrad.
No white. It might be even triple. I don't even know. But it's very funny. It's very funny. Yeah, all that to say, system's broken. But so let's take this back. So you did mention your PTSD from military training, and you were in the Marines, and I'll just let you tell what you did.
Sure. So my primary MOS, or job in the military, was combat correspondent. It's basically journalism. It just sounds cooler if you put the word combat in it.
I believe my dad did the same. Yeah.
So yeah, I was living large, stationed on a tiny island in the middle of the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. I was the nightly news anchor on TV. I was also the noon hour radio host. Worked like crazy, but really enjoyed it and had a good thing going. Right after the bombing of the Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, the Air Force barracks, they had a credible threat for a similar attack in Bahrain, 5th Fleet headquarters. And so they decommissioned my unit from Diego Garcia and moved us to Bahrain, where suddenly there was no newscast for me to be working on.
It sounds like you went from an awesome, like just super chill job.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I was a Lance Corporal E3, living large, and then suddenly I had no job. And so at first, all the kind of administrative people were just working administrative roles, just running errands and doing whatever. Like I started out taking water out to the real Marines, standing post in
The real Marines. I love that frame.
130-degree heat or whatever it was. It was nasty. But they were so understaffed that pretty soon they realized that they needed us all to be standing post.
Mm-hmm.
And so for context, those Marines, the real Marines, were not just infantrymen, but security forces Marines who are pretty elite. They guard nuclear installations and things like that. So joining the Guard was really great in a lot of ways in terms of having an opportunity to be a real Marine. There's a saying in the Corps that every Marine are riflemen.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of fulfilling that. Like everybody is here and ready to fight and be real Marines. But the training that kind of twisted my noodle was that as a member of this squad, we were so short-staffed that we got almost no sleep. So I forget the exact routine, but it was something like 8 on and 4 off, and then 8 on and 12 off. So you get like,
Oh, wild.
so you get basically no sleep. And then when we were supposed to be sleeping is when they would run react drills. So they'd call it over the radio, react, react, react. And we'd jump up, and for anybody who's been in the military, that when you're training, you do not have a loaded weapon. The chance of an accident is far too high. But for a react drill, we would get fully locked and loaded and run out and be ready to fight. And then when we got there, they'd say, okay, this was a drill.
Yeah, stand down.
Yeah. And so I don't know about for the other guys, but for me, like, credible threats.
Yep.
We're looking for bad guys.
Yes, every time.
Right. They're calling us out to go fight and be ready. And as far as I can tell, this is not a simulation. And then when you get there, like, okay, now go back to bed.
Right, because your fight or flight mode has gone all the way up.
Right.
Oh my God, your nervous system has to be fried.
Yeah. Very well said. So that's why, like I said, I try to be very open about my PTSD being based off of training, because for me, there was never any combat.
Right.
I didn't see all the horrors that a lot of people associate with that. But nevertheless, that cycle of months and months of never getting to sleep. And there's also flavors of PTSD. A lot of them come from feeling ill-prepared for the task, not feeling like, because I didn't have the formal training that these other guys had. They all seemed to speak a language that I didn't understand. They moved in ways that I simply didn't get. I remember we were so poorly equipped, they eventually got us plate carriers for body armor. I had never had prior to that point, not through basic training or anything. I remember the first time they call it React, I've got this plate carrier on. And it couldn't have been Kevlar. It had to have been just solid steel, because I remember running out and trying to jump into a prone position, and it just yanked me down, like just face first into the concrete. I'm like, holy shit, what is this thing? I just wasn't ready for like the additional weight, and it's just flopping around.
You're describing the worst case scenario of imposter syndrome that I can fathom right now. Like, this is real time. You could make an action comedy out of this, and you would be the goofy buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Gomer friggin' Pyle.
Yeah,
like,
a complete mess. Oh God, Gomer Pyle. Yeah, And that's exactly how I felt. So all these guys are just looking at me and telling me
Oh,
about how I'm going to get myself killed. I'm going to get them killed. And I feel it acutely because I don't want to be the guy that lets everybody down. Um,
my friend and I just
no.
rewatched The Edge of Tomorrow or something with Tom Cruise, and those
Yeah.
intro scenes where everyone's telling him he's a dead body. Oh, we're
Oh,
not gonna,
yeah.
and it's just like flashing back to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a lot of good memories of that time as well. And just in terms of, like I said, I did to some degree rise to the occasion and integrate with the Guard and get past my POG status of POG being an acronym person other than grunt.
I'm sorry, that's awesome.
Yeah, but you either are a grunt or you're not. So there's a certain amount of pride there, but just the like you said, just the nervous system gets rewired entirely. Yeah. So I have triggers from things like particularly military and police band radios. They make that squawk.
Yes.
And that one will send me right through the roof. And that was when I really finally realized I had a real problem. My wife and I were walking through the mall in Cincinnati, and a mall security guard was walking behind us, and his radio chirped.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't in the mall anymore. I was just back in it, looking for the attack and feeling ill-prepared to handle it.
Oh my God, dude.
So yeah, like I said, I try to be open about that because I think a lot of people probably have PTSD for various life experiences that wouldn't necessarily realize it or understand why certain things happen, and you're not in the present anymore. You're not in your body. You're not in the here and now. And unfortunately, a lot of that manifests in interpersonal relationships. You're having an argument with your wife, and you don't realize that you're really reliving a trauma from when you're a little kid.
It has nothing to do with the experience of the disagreement.
Right.
And it has everything to do with projecting out what you're reliving in the moment.
Right.
And it's so bad. A very similar story comes to mind when you talk about your experience in the mall with the security guard. My old man, I don't know if I was a child still or if I just heard this, but we lived up in Hartsgrove, Ohio, tiny little town. And I think it was an ox roast. I'm mistelling the story. It doesn't matter. The thrust of it was they flew a Huey down and landed it in the field by the ox roast. And all of a sudden, the way my dad tells it, he's back in Vietnam. And the jungle and the heat and the threat and everything else just came right back, and he was right back in it.
Yeah.
And I can't, that is such a wild process that the brain and the mind and the body revert to. It's so fascinating and terrible.
It
but
really
also
is
it's a
fascinating.
conditioned, and it seems to be, as you described it, a conditioned result to incredible stress, so that because you have to be able to respond based on what you've experienced.
Yeah, to geek out on it a bit, it's a really excellent book on the subject. It's called The Body Keeps the Score.
It is an excellent book, yeah.
And in there, I'm coming up short on the author's name, but the research he was doing was really revolutionized when functional MRI came along and they could look at a brain in real time. They were looking at people with really bad PTSD, which at the time they just knew that it was just trauma, but they didn't really have a notion of PTSD. And as they would start thinking about or reliving the traumatic experience under the fMRI machine, it was as if the brain was actually living it. There wasn't that intellectual separation of I'm thinking about a past traumatic experience.
Yeah.
They were just in it.
Yeah, I remember hearing or reading that it's indistinguishable from somebody going through the actual experience itself.
Yeah. And I found that helpful and just fascinating to realize that you can get so out of your body and out of your current state. And that's why so much of treatments focus on mindfulness, getting grounded in the here and now, and trying to build some awareness of, oh, I'm not regulated right now. What's going on? What can I do to kind of get back into the moment? But as a veteran, or really anybody with PTSD, that could be super frustrating in the therapeutic context of you're telling me to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Here I've experienced these horrors and I have these nightmares every night, and you're telling me to focus on breathing. You idiot. You don't know what is going on.
How the hell is breathing going to help me? And by the way, it kind of does.
Super does.
Like, weirdly, and nobody ever wants to hear it when you're in that moment because your
Oh,
fight
yeah.
or flight is through the roof. It
Right.
is so difficult to control your responses in that.
Right.
Not making excuses for myself or any past behavior, but it's also fascinating and wild and awful.
Well, and again, your body is reacting that way for a
Yeah.
semi-logical reason.
Yeah.
So when somebody's telling you to calm down or breathe, like that's the opposite of the appropriate response to a life and death situation. How
And they're
dare you?
totally not wrong, because regaining control over your system is vital to being able to
Yeah.
engage in society, or even just to be a healthy, happy person.
Mhm.
And I talk about this way too much. It's the work
Right.
that we have to do. I think, just to be, I don't know why we have to do the work, but it feels really important to do the work.
Well, I try to, when I am talking to other people with PTSD, which is usually going to be a veteran, I try to frame it as like, imagine you're an MMA fighter. If you're the guy who's totally jacked up on adrenaline, intense, and got tunnel vision, and the adaptive behaviors of the body and mind to a high stress situation, they really are aimed at fighting or running away. And if you're the fighter who's relaxed, who's breathing, who's loose, who has peripheral vision available,
Israel Adesanya, let's go.
yeah, who's going to prevail in that fight? And so to me, the whole point being of, okay, so it feels stupid to say focus on breathing and learn mindfulness and all that. But again, if you want to be a prepared fighter, right, if that's still part of your identity, then these are all things that are going to help you be effective in a crisis situation.
Being able to step back and observe and react appropriately instead of strictly instinct. Now, there's something to be said for the repetitive nature of the training, which helps that instinct. But being able to intellectually remove yourself and observe, I think, helps with any situation, not just fighting, not just combat. It's fantastic in the corporate world. It's fantastic when
well
you're
said.
in an argument, or somebody is debating politics in a way that you find to be personally offensive.
Right.
Because all of these things are elements that we identify with ourselves and become personal attacks that we don't always, it becomes indistinguishable to any other form of combat in my experience and from talking with other folks.
It's a really great insight that I hadn't really thought about before. But yeah, when you feel like somebody's attacking your identity, how is that different than them attacking you on a life and death situation?
And the responses are so similar,
right?
Even if we can sit back and be like, that's an overreaction,
right?
Oh, sure, from our perspective,
right?
And when you're in that moment, I dare you to say otherwise. Like,
yeah.
Like, the body does the same things. It's going to be the same release of fight or flight chemicals.
That's right. With all the associated baggage.
Yeah.
So we talked about breathing, mindfulness. I think that's an important base to work from, but certainly not enough to entirely manage PTSD for most people, or most people who have it. So I did the standard VA regimen of 20 years of antidepressants, and went through the entire VA formulary, 2 or 3 times. Oh, this one doesn't work. Well, what if we tried this one? I already tried that one. Well, what if we tried it again? What if we tried them together? What if we tried more? What if we tried less?
I started down a similar track. No thanks.
Yeah. And that in itself is very demoralizing. Like, here's the 8 medicines that the VA or really even private practice doctors are, if they're doing evidence-based medicine, I say, hey, well, this has a statistically significant chance of reducing your symptoms by some portion.
Sure.
Ooh, well, thank you very much.
I would like to be 17% happier. I don't know how we're going to measure that.
That's right.
But I like the idea.
Right. So I never had, I should be careful about how I say it. How I say the meds never helped. I never had any success with the meds going all the way through. Truth be told, they help some. I think the issue is that I never felt good or happy. I'm taking antidepressants and I guess they antidepressed, but they never made me like feel good. Like, yeah, I'm ready to tackle life. Hell yeah,
Right. It's
bring it
more
on.
sort of like this mood. So how do I want to say this? It narrows the bandwidth within which you operate,
Yeah,
which also mitigates some of those higher elevated experiences.
precisely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, very limited understanding, bipolar people, it's like, yeah, take away the downside, but don't take away my manic swing. Like, I like
Yeah.
that part. That's when I can get shit done.
I have very good friends who are dealing with that. One in particular, I hope I can bring onto the show. And in that state, that's an acceptable loss.
Right.
To have a more balanced, focused life has been game changing for this guy. And that's what works for him.
Right.
I
For
love that.
the friends and loved ones, it's like, yeah, no, we could compress both ends of this emotional range and that would be fine.
His mania is wild
But
to observe or experience.
yeah. But I can understand though, if you feel like crap most of the time and then occasionally just really grab life by the balls and raw dog it right through life.
For bringing us back to that.
I can see where that's almost a trusted friend that you'd be reluctant to let go of.
Yeah.
In much the same way, PTSD also, I think, becomes part of your identity and a trusted friend that has kept you alive. Here's proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But that's one of the more, I love that as a framework because you're not wrong. We as humans seem to adapt and integrate all these situations, and it becomes almost a weird form of psychological Stockholm syndrome, where this force within yourself that is really destructive is also keeping you alive, and you get so used to it that you embrace it as part of what keeps you going. And I wonder if it's the exact same function.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that resonates.
Like as an abuser, right? Like in this case, PTSD being the abuser, you, the human being, the victim of that, and latching onto it just for sheer survival.
Yeah, there's definitely a parallel. Now that you say it, I mean, it resonates. The parallel to unhealthy relationships where there's a codependence and this other person does terrible, terrible things, but they're also my stability. And
I've literally never thought about this until this conversation, but it just tracks.
It's a whole new idea. I've never thought of that either, but that's really a fascinating dynamic. Yeah, you've got this.
Yeah.
This bad guy, the bad cop,
Yeah.
that also is going to keep you safe and bring you home at night. Yeah. So the meds, I shouldn't speak too badly about, because I know same thing. I talk shit about meds, but then when I talk to other vets, I'm like, take the damn meds.
Take your meds.
It has its role to play. But nevertheless, without having really much success based off of just the cycle of meds and the cycle of periodic therapy, never felt good. So, gosh, I guess it's been a year and a half ago. I was fortunate to have finally gotten into the Long Beach VA. It's running I forget how they call it, a study,
Like a clinical trial,
something like that. But basically, they're a limited study of stellate ganglion block, SGB. And when my doctor mentioned it to me, sounded very scary.
Yeah.
I do not like needles, but he's describing it as this is super simple and helps people a lot.
And where is this needle going? Back of your neck?
In my case, through the side. So if you think about the carotid artery,
Yeah.
the doctor, in my case, again, it varies, but in my case, literally pulls it aside with one hand and
What were you telling me? This
runs
good
the
Lord.
needle along. And injects just simple lidocaine, just deadens up that nerve.
Yeah.
And that's the one running from the amygdala, I guess, down through the rest of your, was that the parasympathetic nervous system? I shouldn't say words I don't know.
That's fair. And I can't correct you. I got nothing here, brother.
But anyway, it just interferes with the signal. And they were saying people have been getting 3 to 6 months worth of relief off of this. And as I was having the procedure done, I was like, so I'm going to be numbed up for 3 to 6 months? And the doctor says, no, this only lasts however long lidocaine lasts. It'll be out of your system in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, crap, that means in 24 hours I'm just going to feel the same way? She's like, that's not been most people's experience.
At least they're honest.
Yeah, so she does the injection, and it's probably worth mentioning, I also have some medical trauma. I had a procedure that was very distressing. I say that as
Just for reference on how
terrible
fun this was.
mental picture. I should probably just be more direct to say, I woke up in the middle of endoscopy. So I had the tube down my throat at the VA, and the doctor's response was, he's waking up, hold him down.
Oh God, no.
Rather than,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
let's
This is
take
horrifying.
let's get this tube out of his throat and let the poor guy recover and get him some more meds. So that was just one of those things that really stuck bad in my brain. So the idea of going back to the VA to get this procedure done, I was very, very distressed.
Where somebody's going to be moving your carotid with their fingers. And you're, oh, by the way, you're awake for this.
Oh yeah, entirely awake and unmedicated. Like,
Right.
so they didn't give me
So weird.
something to manage the anxiety of the procedure, which I was asking for. I'm like, look,
Like a
I have this,
Xanax or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I have this medical trauma and I am not coping well. I mean, I'm sweating buckets.
Yeah.
I got tears in my eyes the whole time. I'm trembling. I'm so anxious. And they're saying, everybody's trying to say, yeah, it's really simple and it's really fast. And
You didn't
just
care.
not a big deal. Yeah. And so one of the things that tends to be an indicator that the procedure has been a success is that your right eyelid will droop down.
Okay.
And somehow that's all tied together. So as they're administering the lidocaine, if your eyelid goes droopy, that's a pretty good indicator that they've gotten it. And so I'm laying on the table. I've got this needle in my neck. The first time I had it done, it was a slightly different procedure. So she's using an ultrasound rather than X-ray to monitor where everything's going.
Okay.
And the downside of that is that it's slower. It takes longer to get everything positioned and on all that.
Okay.
And so I'm laying there and just suffering, sucking in all of the fear, because that's all it was, right? It didn't
100%.
hurt. It was fear. But
Oh God, I can feel that in my stomach right now.
sorry, I don't mean to make
No,
this
it's
a traumatic episode.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
But you got to hold still. So all that nervous energy, you just got to swallow it, right?
Mhm.
And I feel the medication going in. It's uncomfortable. And then suddenly my right eyelid droops closed. And I'm tearing up even now, just thinking
Yeah.
about that moment of suddenly I'm not in distress. I feel good.
Oh man.
I'm safe. I'm surrounded by doctors and everything is cool. Yeah, it was a great moment.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So even though the meds only lasted a day, I got months and months of relief out of that. Feedback from a colleague was, you smile a lot more now.
Yes.
Yeah, and so nobody really has a great framework for exactly what's happening, but I think it's just interrupting that constant state of arousal and fear. Just gives you a break, almost in combat terms, rotating to the rear. Like, okay, you're in it. Let's get you back to the city and
Yeah.
have a couple of drinks and night on the town.
Little shore leave. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the other thing that's important to say there is that, and my doc was really great about, pointing it out, is like, okay, you can get relief from your symptoms, but if you're not doing the work to go with it,
Yes.
to rewire your thought patterns and the way you respond to things and the way you just kind of look at the world, then this is a few days of feeling better, but it's not going to be a change to your life.
Okay.
So I always try to go out of my way to tell people that part of the story is that, yes, you can get relief from symptoms, but if you're not putting in the work
Yeah.
of rewiring your brain and changing your approach to things, then it's essentially it's another drug, right?
It is. It is. And it's, yeah. And sort of, okay. So sort of what I'm going to draw a very brief parallel. When I was looking at going on to an SSRI, I was extremely against it.
Mhm.
And it was one of my bosses, Wes, who finally gave me this great, I guess, analogy of consider it to be putting on a life vest while you're drowning, because you can't build the boat while you're drowning. Get this life preserver so you can start fixing the boat, and just use that to buy yourself some time. But you still have to end up doing that work
Yeah.
while you're on it.
Terrific analogy. And I think it's a good description of meds. Oh, this guy. We might actually have to move in.
Is this a frequent occurrence?
Well, it sounds like right now he's hosing things down, but he also has some kind of hobby working with like power tools, which,
Fantastic. I love that for him.
yeah, especially
And
Sunday mornings.
yeah. Well, I think we can power through. This should pick it up and negate it, but if it gets too much, then obviously it's
As
too
long as he
much.
doesn't start getting busy with his drill or whatever the hell
Yeah.
that thing is.
Orange County.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I hate the HOA life, but on the other hand, it's like, well, can't we outlaw his obnoxious behavior, not mine?
Oh, being human is so complicated.
Right. I love running my smoker every weekend and, choking everybody out with the barbecue smoke. But your power tool habit just really annoys the piss out of me.
Hey, they like the smell of smoke every weekend.
They better.
They'd better. Well, I'm also assuming you bring them brisket just to pay it off. That's how I make friends with neighbors. Like fire up a brisket, bring like a pound to everybody and be like, here, sorry for the smell. They get over it real quick.
Yeah. Well, if anything, they're, hey, when are you going to smoke something again?
That's right. And then people start returning the favor. Like
Yeah,
some of
right.
my favorite neighbors would just start bringing me delicious food.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, this is community building.
Yeah.
Through food.
Yeah, I was out here cleaning up for Thanksgiving. We hosted out here, and my neighbor's like, "Oh, you have a family over? Huh? Are you gonna be smoking that turkey?"
You have to smoke that turkey. Dude, the goal for me is to smoke it and then fry it.
Ooh,
Yeah. Because my brother-in-law and I used to fry turkeys in the front yard. And then I got the smoker and I started smoking them. All I could think is do like a half smoke and then a quick fry.
Oh, sounds
And
good.
just like,
I have not attempted the fryer.
it's scary. There's a lot of stories.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
My motorcycle riding buddy sent me his video. He's like, "See, look how easy this is." I was just watching the whole setup, and I was like, "There's no way."
Meanwhile, you happily ride a motorcycle, which is infinitely more dangerous.
It's never caught anything on fire.
Yet.
Well said.
Dude, you're driving between cars on the 5. Like, that's just, are you sure you're good? Because that is a specific behavior.
Yeah, I haven't done that one in quite some time.
Oh, good for you. My buddy and I were driving out here to LA, and he had never really driven in California. And so the first time a motorcycle passed us on the right between cars,
yeah.
it's just like, what is happening?
It is gnarly.
It's an outdated law, but
I
don't care.
even in the prime of my jackassery, I've only done it according to what the law allows, which I think is 35 miles an hour is the maximum for lane splitting.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not my experience of
Not at
Los
all.
Angeles.
You see it all the time.
Yeah,
People
like
hitting-
80.
Yeah, you're at 80 and the guy goes by at 120.
And he does a wheelie going
Should be
through.
right.
Like, that was, oh my God.
Yeah.
I just thought they were maniacs, but it was fine. Nope.
I've never, yeah.
That's through Hollywood because people are insane.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I've been in the car when people are doing that. And I'm just like, you're crazy. You
Yeah.
maniac.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now we're old men. 20 years ago, we'd have been like, awesome. I want to do that. Maybe not.
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
It was fun. So there was something. Oh yeah, you were talking about stigma on PTSD treatment, and I wanted to close the loop. on that
Yeah. I'd love to hear
because
more.
I had a really fascinating bit of self-discovery this year, which is at work. I've been talking about my PTSD even before I got the stellate ganglion block. But once I got that, I really wanted to talk about it because this really helped me a ton.
Mm-hmm.
This is something you should look into and tell your friends and loved ones about. So I did that and had great results, and it's been a huge blessing. This year, I also embarked on another slightly less common treatment, which is called TMS.
Yep.
I believe it stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation.
Mhm.
And my situation was that the SGB was helping a ton for the PTSD.
Yeah.
But wasn't helping specifically, that's not targeted at depression. And so, as I mentioned, the meds have been very limited benefit where depression's concerned. And so I finally decided, after swirling around it a lot, because I was very afraid of TMS, I finally decided to do it. My employer was fantastic, carved out time for me to do it because it's a big commitment. It's a daily treatment for, I think I did 6 weeks,
Oh, wow.
maybe 8.
Oh, wow. Do you have to go to the VA for that, or is that?
No, that was actually one of the things that kept me from doing it is the VA in Long Beach is doing it. But for me, that would be
That's in Long Beach, and you're in Aliso Viejo.
right. So
Right.
an hour there and
Yeah.
treatments, I think like 20 minutes, but then an hour back.
And that's assuming nice traffic.
Yeah, that's on a good day. So I found a clinic right here in town that's doing it and signed up and did that. And that was really, really helpful. Just in terms of feeling better, but not like in a manic kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling good, but not in a recreational drugs kind of way.
Sort of like a slow jazz, joyful moment.
Yeah, like
What a weird way to put that, but that's what it felt like to me when you said it.
I was actually just trying to compute that slow jazz, joyful.
Yeah, it doesn't
slow
really
jazz.
track. I will strike that from the record.
Actually, it does. So we've been much like every dentist office you've been to in the last year.
Oh, that's smooth jazz. That's very different.
On the TV, we have like the AI generated winter scene of snow falling and gentle music.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a nice vibe. Like
It
we
is.
have that going 24/7.
As I was saying that, all I could think was reggae on the beach, and that's a very different vibe, but it also works. But that's more the one you're not trying to allude to.
That's
So,
right.
so that's a pivot. It didn't work well.
Yeah. No, it's just a lot of times I have to try to quantify these things in a work context because some of the more, I guess, crisp examples, but it was like at work, I was just completely buried, crazy workload, and also working, I'd say, even at the frontier of my ability, like just, I don't know AI. I didn't study AI, and now I'm designing AI systems and just covering a lot of surface area. I went from just really, really like stressed about it and intense. And then after the TMS, like my boss came in and was like, "Oh, I've got another project for you." I'm like, "A new project or another project?" Yeah, it's another project.
That's a fair question.
And he's like, "But is that okay? Is that going to work for you?" I said, "We'll figure it out. We got this. We'll sort it out."
Wow.
That kind of
I can't imagine having that response.
I can't either, to be honest. I'm just telling the story like bullshit.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that. There's a lot. I'm like, oh, wait, you can do that?
Yeah. There was also a team meeting where I don't remember the specifics, but everybody kind of had that, oh, good Lord moment.
Yeah.
And I was one of those saying like, we'll figure it out. We got this, guys. And that had not been my MO for quite some time.
No, that's an approach that I'm really trying to move toward, but I've taken a very different path to getting there. And right now, a large part of that path is a massive backward step in what I'm doing in my career. And it's allowing me to start to breathe through those moments and recognize that it's a day-to-day cycle and not something that you have to be worried about 6 months out every single moment of your life.
Right.
And so it's a different approach to what you're describing, but yours sounds way nicer.
Yeah, I was just having a little bit more of a upbeat vibe. And unlike I've done tons of therapeutic work and self-discovery and all that, and we can even dig into that if you care to, but just that shift over the course of about 6 weeks of going from like, my hair's on fire and this is just crazy, to being like, oh, my hair's on fire and this is crazy, but we're going to sort it out. We always do.
You're the dog with the coffee cup in the burning building saying,
It's
this is fine. What a way to go through life.
That was exactly right. This is fine.
I usually look at that and I'm like, yeah, this is us lying to ourselves, and you're in there living that experience, really believing this is fine. Well, that's so cool.
Well, one of my many challenges is I tend to catastrophize and like, oh my God, this feature, it's not working right. It's gonna ruin us and like all that. And it's like,
Catastrophizing is one of the worst.
Is it really though? And it's annoying when people try to talk you through this.
Oh yeah, because again, you're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
In a near constant state, and you can't accept rational criticism from somebody who's calm.
Oh God, the calm people are the worst.
The worst. The worst. Can't you let me panic and freak out? Like, I have to go through this. I'll be fine tomorrow morning. Let me just explode for 20 minutes, storm out, and get a good night's sleep if I can. We'll be good tomorrow. Just let me have this process.
Yeah.
Not healthy.
That would go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
TMS, I brought it up because I realized that I was telling everybody about SGB and I wasn't telling anybody about TMS.
I had never heard of that. I thought you meant something very different. So yeah.
Yeah. And it recently hit me that I was totally comfortable telling people that I'm a disabled veteran with PTSD, and that jives and that makes sense. And people say, thank you for your service.
For sure.
And I could not bring myself to tell people that I've been dealing with depression for 20 plus years.
That's where you drew the line.
There's a shame in it. It's
so interesting.
It's a character defect, a mental shortcoming. It's shameful, like as depression does.
Yeah.
Convinces you that you're wrong for being this way.
Oh God, this is like 2 or 3 episodes in a row where we get into concepts of self-worth and
Mm-hmm.
oh wow.
So even though I had comparably miraculous results from both of these different treatments for different things,
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell people about TMS. I was embarrassed about it. I couldn't face the shame of telling people, oh yeah, I just took an hour a day for the last 2 months to go sit and get my brain zapped
By high magnetic resonant whatever.
It is bizarre when you think about these things.
Yeah, I'll not describe it that way again, but no, I will.
That's exactly what it is, right?
And there's so many interesting things we can do with fields and their interactions with the brain.
Yeah.
I mean, tonal fields, music, binaural beats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great examples. But it's also funny that it's one of those areas that well, it seems to work. Why? I don't know.
We'll get to that. We'll figure that out in 20, 50 years. The site is
Right.
giving us fascinating new super cancers that we're not aware of.
Certainly, that's always on the list of.
But you're living well now, and I actually appreciate that you're even talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I would not have heard about it, maybe because of the stigma, and I'd never thought about the stigma.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what was very specifically the big holdout for me was, again, in the 80s, my mom was struggling with a lot of mental health issues.
Sure.
Had a complete breakdown and ultimately was given electroconvulsive therapy, which
I can see why you would have reservations.
didn't do much to make her feel better, but totally destroyed her brain in the sense of memory, and she just hasn't been functional since then. And so when they say, hey, we got this TMS machine and it just zaps your brain with a magnetic field and it's very mild and it's no big deal. I'm like,
They said the same about lobotomies in the 1800s.
right, just pull out a little teeny tiny
Just
bit
a
of your
little
brain.
needle.
Boop. Yeah.
And then you'll be happy. And then lithium, and then electroshock, and then
Yeah. So
probably not in that order.
that frame of reference really made me strongly against it. And my doctor kept talking to me about it. I was like, yeah, I mean, we're having great results with it, and it's not invasive. I told him my frame of reference with my mom. I said, the big thing is I rely on my mind and being sharp to earn a living. And if I have memory problems beyond what age is doing to me.
So you're getting that too now.
Oh,
It's the best, right?
yeah.
My 28-year-old boss is running circles around me and it's killing me.
Oh, that is brutal.
It's brutal. She's really sharp.
I think
Damn
the
it.
only reason people get married is to be able to have somebody to complete their sentences when they get old.
Oh, that's a good. I don't want to think about that. Okay.
Yeah, it was just the other day, my wife and I were just ping-ponging back and forth. Like, I get about 3 words, and then she'd rescue me, and then she'd run into one that she couldn't remember. I'd chime in. Oh, Lord.
But fortunately, no memory issues as you're aware of that you recall from the TMS.
Actually, if anything, I feel a little sharper. So again, through the haze of depression, it's hard to think, it's hard to focus, hard to concentrate. Again, I don't want to keep bagging on antidepressant meds, but
No, it's fine.
they
It
can
works for some
have kind
people.
of a mental cloud, and at least in my experience.
Same.
So to feel just fully awake and alert and be relatively focused has been a huge relief for me.
Yeah.
So that's the other one that I need to talk more about for people.
Dude, I'm so glad that you did.
Great.
My 70-ish, 17-ish listeners will all appreciate it, I'm sure. Yeah, and you mentioned sort of the fog or these their effects, not side effects, but the other effects of antidepressants or SSRIs.
Hmm.
To me, I felt dull.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
lost any sort of joie de vivre. I was only on for a few months.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. I would rather have the agony. Well, I mean, it turns out I wouldn't have rather had the agony. I got back to the agony. I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do something else about this.
Yeah. I think that's it. That is the one real risk. Again, like I have a relatively low opinion of the meds, but at the same time, it's real easy to get out of the pits of despair
Yeah.
and then look back and be like, well, that wasn't that bad. I would have pulled myself out of it.
Sure, you would have.
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
Almost certainly. Well, maybe you would have. Maybe you would have.
Yeah.
But
So
we don't have to find out.
right. So I think if the overall outlook was for like antidepressant medications to be a 6 or 12-month intervention to help get you where you need to be, but there's a certain depression that came with the idea of being on this pill for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And again, I wrestle with saying things like that because I know people who have been on meds for their entire adult life or what
Same.
have you.
And they are totally cool with it.
And need it and accept it. And,
It is a to each their own,
know.
and I respect it.
Yeah. And for that matter, I'd like to think that I have the, self-discipline to say, if I need to take these freaking pills to be a functional husband and father and employee and contributing member of society, that damn it, I would do it. But
And that is exactly the approach taken by some of my friends, and I wholeheartedly embrace it and endorse it for them.
I guess if I cut myself a break too, like
Yeah,
I
you
did
should.
25 years of that.
Yeah.
So just bouncing around, try this, try that.
Yeah,
try this,
that's a fair point.
Before
that's
I
a
finally got the
significant
HTB.
portion of your life.
Yeah, I do tend to forget that I'm not fresh out of the Marine Corps.
I mean, when I knew you, I didn't realize. I thought you smiled a fair bit, but we were all in it, right? New management, new leadership of a company that was sort of struggling to begin with.
That was
It was,
that was a challenging time.
Shout out Auto Bytel.
Yeah, I got that job there straight from New Century Mortgage, which was a subprime lender. I remember that we had just recently celebrated making $1 billion a month.
Oh my God.
I started when we were celebrating $1 billion a quarter.
Yeah.
And then we got to $1 billion a month. So.
And this would have been like 2006, 2005. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to happen.
It was a party. Everything was great.
World without end.
And then every now and then we'd have that company all hands that said, we are expecting some amount of correction in the housing market, but we're well positioned to survive and thrive. Yeah. And when I say overnight, I mean practically overnight, within the span of a week.
It was the Lehman Brothers collapse, right? 2007? When was that?
Yeah, it would have been 2007, right? The subprime mortgage disaster.
That was almost literally overnight. Yeah.
I think because I was participating in the employee stock purchase plan, I had been buying shares at a great discount for around $75, if I recall correctly. And I went to try to sell my shares immediately. And they said, oh, you're not allowed to do that because you bought these on the employee stock purchase plan.
There's a vesting period, right?
And then within a week, they had been downgraded, were being traded on penny stock exchange. They were 15 cents. 1 week.
Oh God.
Ever trying to work and
knowing you have nothing.
Yeah, you had no frame of reference for this.
None.
Like, there had been Enron was like the only news event that I could kind of comparably think of. So I remember we're still trying to work and do our jobs because nobody's telling us anything.
You're in survival mode.
Well, you definitely can't talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
I remember at one point the vendor came through and picked up all of the copy paper. So we were like, well, we can't print. And so
they're like, you can't pay us.
I brought in paper from home to be able to print.
Yeah.
And the next day the vendor came in and took all the printers out.
You're like, well, I guess that's that. Huh.
So Auto-Bytel was a huge blessing to be able to quickly bounce from losing my job and all that. We get to Auto-Bytel, and my wife was expecting, and my son was born prematurely. So he was born at 24 weeks gestation.
Oh.
And
Okay.
so Auto-Bytel, I am eternally grateful to having been there at that time because the health insurance was really good.
It was really good. Agreed.
And I remember being in the NICU with my family and unfortunately just overhearing conversations with other families around what their insurance would and would not cover. And we never had that conversation.
Yeah.
And
I don't like using the frame, but that is a dang blessing.
for sure, 100%. That was the first blessing. So my son was born very early. We're in this hospital environment all the time, every day. I go to work and then afterwards go to the NICU to sit with my son for a few hours before I go home.
He really wanted out. Good for him.
Yeah, he's
Ambitious kid.
yeah, he's had a motor on him all along.
Yeah.
But I'd go to work and I'd stare at the computer all day, and everybody was kind about it. I'd literally the swirly Mac screensaver.
Yep.
I'd spend hours just staring at it. I was
Good
just
Lord.
in the sauce,
Yeah.
and it wasn't for lack of trying. I was trying to contribute, but it just wasn't there. And
Yeah.
my son eventually was discharged from the NICU and things were just going better. And I enjoyed the job a lot. But I remember at one point, they came through and removed the coffee makers at Auto-Bytel.
Was I gone by then? I don't remember them taking the coffee makers.
I don't recall if you were or not.
Yeah, that's fine.
They pulled out the coffee makers and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do something real nice." And my spidey sensors were tingling.
You're like, I've seen this before.
I've seen this before. And so I immediately went out and got a new job.
Because when that spin cycle starts about what they're doing and why, that's cost-cutting measures that are, if they're cutting off the coffee,
right.
Right.
Yeah, we still got the snack machines, and they're selling sodas at a discount, just 25 cents for a soda. Yeah, it could have been a coincidence, but I left.
I think at that point, my whole team was gone already, so, yeah.
I remember I just had so much gratitude to that place.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to go find a new job, but I was trying to be proactive and stay ahead of the chopping block, which I knew it was coming. Knew it was coming.
And we still have friends that are there, which is wild.
There was a VP who I was very fond of. And when I told him that I was leaving, he's a very good dude.
Yeah.
But when I told him that I was leaving, he was cold.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I got it. I understood because you guys have taken care of me in my time of greatest need. And I feel really, really guilty, but I'm going to go take this new job.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 3 months later that person's LinkedIn said, looking for work.
Yeah.
So,
Because he probably knew what was coming and was probably dealing with feeling abandoned. And I mean, there were a lot of, God, I left so many people there.
Yeah.
He was definitely one of them.
So yeah, I totally got it. And it's hard. It's hard to leave a company, good times or bad.
Yeah.
But that always stuck with me. Like, oh man, this company is really, like I said, the healthcare benefits and never having to have that conversation about what treatments you can have and not have.
Yeah.
When you're already in just the worst situation. But then having to push through that and be like, I see the writing on the wall and
it's not pretty. It's kind of spray painted actually.
If a company that's making $1 billion per month can disappear overnight.
Oh yeah, your perspective on all this must be radically altered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm also grateful to Auto-Bytel. That's the job that brought me to California in the first place, from Columbus, Ohio, right?
No kidding.
Yeah, we all sort of departed AOL at the same time. Came in with the incoming CEO. Yeah.
There was a lot of AOL refugees there.
There were. Hey, we weren't refugees. Okay, maybe we were. Wow, I didn't have that awareness. You might not be wrong. Yeah, we were all the AOL search crew.
It's just like there's a lot of New Century refugees. I brought several.
Different reason.
Yeah, so it is funny. Kind of ties that thread back. Your PTSD is there to keep you safe in the future. And when you see your company fold up around you, and then you're at the next place and they sell off the coffee, or they remove the coffee makers because we're going to do something bigger and better soon. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah. You're right, though. It shows you that you're better prepared because of those potentially traumatic experiences. And I would say the New Century folding was almost certainly traumatic.
Yeah, I mean, because I was feeling good. It was my first corporate job out of the Marines.
Yeah.
And like I said, when everything's a party and there's just money just everywhere.
Going full Wolf of Wall Street on it.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some bro culture there, too. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Subprime lending? No. What? How dare you?
God. Yeah, that brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah. And now your career has gone all over the place. We were talking about that a little bit earlier before we started taping, but like Marines as a news desk guy to subprime lending to front-end web development. Interesting career path. It doesn't seem traditional. And whenever that's the case, I always look at it with a little trepidation or anxiety of my own, where I always have this need to know what's coming next and staying in my lane. And I think it's really fascinating when folks make, maybe in your case, it was a slower shift through the process. But if you look at it, it's like, oh, wow, massive shift. And now you're, like you were saying earlier, working on AI projects.
Yeah. So I guess kind of just in a nutshell, I had a journalism background in the Marines. I got out, went back to Houston just for a little while. Wasn't really living my best life. And my brother, who lived in San Diego, still does, said, yeah, get out of there. Just come on back out here. Mm-hmm. I had been stationed right here at the Marine Corps Air Station El Toro is where I got out from. And so there's this time in the Marines where the master sergeant came through and said, hey, we've got unused budget. I need you to order a bunch of printer paper. Okay. So I go in the supply cabinet and I look, and we've got printer paper stacked from the floor literally to the ceiling. It's got to be a fire hazard. We got so much printer paper. I said, Top, we got so much paper. Why would we spend money on that? I said, could we spend it on like some training or something? He goes, yeah, sure, whatever. Just it needs to be spent by Friday.
Oh, right, because budgetary requirements for the mail. Oh, okay. I've had that conversation with folks. Got it.
Use it or lose it budget.
Use it or lose it.
And so here in Orange County, there's a place called Learning Tree University, and I had somehow ended up with one of their little brochures. And they had an introduction to HTML class.
Got it.
So just kind of on a whim, there's this new internet web technologies kind of taking off everywhere.
That's right. We're old.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So it was an area of interest. I spent a weekend learning basic HTML at this class, and I ended up coming back. I worked at the base newspaper was the job, but just out of professional curiosity, I guess, I built the first Marine Corps base website for Marine Corps Air Station El Toro as it was closing.
Hey, look, timing isn't everything.
Yeah. So that's in the Marines. I get out, I come back, .com bubbles bursting. I was looking for journalism work because that was my trade, and not finding any opportunities. But people kept offering me money to build them websites. I'm like, yeah, I can build your website, but I'm really looking for a job. Radio and television is my passion. That's what I want to do. Eventually, I caught the Clue train. I'm like, hey, I guess I could do websites for work. So I was freelancing a bit of that. And then after September 11th, I got mobilized back into the Marines for 2 more years. And so that was at Camp Pendleton. And that just happened. I was there visiting friends. There was a gunnery sergeant who was in charge of the website. She's like, I don't understand this stuff and I need help. Would you be willing to help out with the website? I'm like, yeah, I would. So I was doing that full time there at the base. And so then when I got out at the end of my mobilization, is when I got that first job at New Century, first corporate web design job.
Got it.
So kind of following that thread, I went from being a webmaster to a web designer to a user experience designer.
Yep.
I worked with a guy who had gotten some training from Human Factors International and UIE, and was learning about this field of user experience.
Yep.
That I had no real frame of reference for. And so I would take him my designs and say, hey, you're a really good designer. I value your opinion. Is this good? And he would always say, it's not whether it's good, it's whether it's right. I'm like, what?
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I've run into that. I kind of get that.
So he explained the concept of user-centered design, which had never even crossed my mind somehow, and how basically we need to understand what's the user trying to do, and is this the most efficient way to help them accomplish their goals
with the least amount of effort on their end.
Yeah,
making it intuitive, making it
So I got real switched on about that, and was extremely fortunate to be in user experience as the field is being created.
Yeah.
And what's been really amazing about the field of user experience is that everybody has just been tremendously generous with their ideas and thoughts, and sharing openly on the web with, here's how we're maturing our practices. And so I was a huge beneficiary of that. There weren't college programs at the time to get a degree in UX.
Right.
So everybody had come from something else.
So everybody's learning it on the fly and just really enjoying probably that process too. It's like this group exploration of a new space.
Yeah. And so also relatively low barrier to entry at the time. Basically, if you had some experience, that was the best way to get more work in that arena. A lot different than how it is now. It's a lot more competitive, and people expect to see degrees and titles and things like that, whereas that just wasn't ever an issue for me along the way. So working as a designer on various websites and different companies, one of the things we ran into, I was working with a team that had hired the design consultancy IDEO.
Okay.
And they came in, and true to the field, were just incredibly generous with their knowledge. We had a dinner one night, and I'm taking notes on everything they do. Like, these guys are the pros. They really know how to do it, make stuff happen. I was like, why are you being so open with us? Like, it seems like as an agency that's working for us, we want to protect all this. And I remember the guy who said, one of the things that we hate the most is we come in and we do our project and then we leave, and then it may or may not happen. And so we really try to elevate the people around us to be able to sustain the work once we're gone.
Right. Which also presumably helps them get more work in the future through word of mouth, saying, hey, these guys came in and implemented this and gave us the support system to continue what they installed. I appreciate that.
Because as a designer, I've designed a lot of stuff that never saw the light of day. So that they have basically the same pain point, but it does impact their business. So those guys really helped upskill our team and helped us be better innovators. And that's where I first encountered these design workshops, product design and innovation workshops. And it was just so much fun, and really shocking to me how much could get done in this compressed amount of time by bringing together essentially everybody who had skin in the game and forced them to make decisions in the room rather than, let's talk about that offline.
I say that. Okay. That's fair.
I mean, it makes sense why you would, but it just kind of happened that with my radio and TV and public speaking backgrounds and design sensibilities, the workshops ended up being the funnest part of that kind of design process for me.
Okay.
So I've been really focused on that for the last several years, trying to evolve my roles to be more focused on doing that part of the design process specifically. Whereas when I started my career, I was very concerned with what color of blue should we use and what's the best layout?
Going for full Fight Club with, I think we just chose the cornflower blues.
Yeah.
You like that one, don't you? Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a nice blue.
It's a nice blue.
So, like I said, less interest in that, less interest in like the technical implementation and like the front end code. Work with really tremendously talented people who can geek out on that better than I can.
Right.
But for me, my central concern, especially after working on so many projects that never saw the light of day, was how do we know we're building the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
What's the right strategy we're pursuing, and who are we really trying to reach, and those kinds of things. And design studio, design workshop methodologies have been, comparatively speaking, really effective in doing these things. There's no way around doing the customer development and actually launching things and iterating and all that. But as far as compared to the traditional, like, well, the boss says I've got an idea and we build it and then we launch it and see if it sticks. Design thinking methodologies have been really helpful. And I think shortcutting some of that, just doing things off of a hunch.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm real focused on workshop facilitation. I still work primarily as a software designer.
Okay.
But whenever and wherever I get the opportunity, try to facilitate workshops and also help other people learn how to do that.
Yeah, and it's really cool to me that that's something that you have the opportunity to do in your current role, which if your actual role is software design, but you're able to keep a paying job
Mm-hmm.
and be productive enough for the company to retain you while doing this workshop facilitation. That's a gift, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, like I said, the role of the designer encompasses so much that there's room for, I think, a lot of specialization. And so, especially when you're working with other people who have more interest in this part of the process or that part of the process, then you try to find ways to play to everybody's strengths and let everybody focus. Because I know plenty of designers that are like, I am not trying to get up here and run a workshop and be up in front of a group of executives and try to force everybody to write stuff on Post-it notes and stick it on the wall.
Oh, are you a Scrum Master now?
No, but I play one on TV.
That's right. The evening news.
Yeah. So I'm really into that. And then the design work that I do is around implementing the latest AI technologies and generative AI and LLM-based stuff has really been a revelation. I had kind of an interest in conversational design. One of the jobs I worked at, there was a team that was working on essentially the chat bot.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, it's really interesting because when we do like innovation workshops, you're trying to do some sort of a drawing or something of the solution that you have in mind, just more for the purpose of telling the story of what is the idea rather than like all the edge cases and things like that. Just telling the story, here's the service that we provide. And for years, those stories for me ended up just being like, here's a chatbot. You tell the AI, the software, what you want, and you get it on the other side, skipping over all the complexity.
We're skipping steps, but yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about all the back-end systems. We can figure that part out. That's the hard work for sure.
Right.
But in terms of telling that story, those conversational interfaces did such a nice job of encapsulating, I want a thing, the system does it, and the customer is happy. So then when there was kind of the chat GPT moment, when the AI really burst into everybody's line of sight, I'd already kind of been thinking a lot along those lines. I was just really fortunate to be on the team that ended up having to work on that for our company.
Yeah, well done. Well planned.
So to that point, you talk about a meandering career trajectory. There's a really great book on the subject by, there's that moment, the name that slips right out of here. The book is called, well, now I've gone blank on that too.
Oh, for God's sake. But thematically, is it something around maintaining the flow state in a career and allowing?
Not at all. Well,
perfect.
Yeah, actually. It's,
I'm glad I got it so wrong.
It's called How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen. There it is. So Clayton Christensen wrote the Innovator's Dilemma, came up with the jobs to be done framework for innovation, wrote a ton about that. but then coincidentally wrote this book about like, he tells a story a lot better than me, so you can find it online easily. But in a nutshell, he's a Harvard professor. He's worked with the best and brightest, surrounded himself with these brilliant people. And I think it was something like class reunion. He comes back and like 80% of his colleagues had, gone through divorce and DUIs and just all this bad life stuff. And he was kind of perplexed by how could such bright and promising people have poor life outcomes.
Sure.
So the book talks about a lot of stuff, but particularly two types of strategy. There's emergent strategy, and then there's, I forget the word he uses for it, but basically decisive strategy, essentially deciding where you're going to go. I feel in retrospect, I didn't know I was doing this, but I've done a good job of seeing where the opportunity is and going there. I didn't set out to be a web designer, but when people kept offering me money to do that,
You said yes.
I said, okay.
That feels emergent.
It's totally this.
Okay, good. I was going to say, if you were going to somehow spin this as being the decisive,
No, not
I
at
would be
all.
shocked, because I think emergent is how most people move through this life. And I used to have concerns about that, and I would basically end up deciding that none of us, or most of us, don't make too many decisions in our lives, and we just sort of flow with the opportunities that we find. And it's interesting that he identified that and probably put it way better than I just did.
I've had the same challenge of wrestling with, like, I feel like as somebody who's a strategic thinker, that's how I talk about myself. And according to my StrengthsFinder test, I'm a strategic thinker.
And by the way, StrengthsFinder is so much fun.
Love it.
Love it.
Big fan. And yet I've always followed this emergent strategy of just essentially spotting the opportunities and the trends and basically kind of riding that wave, if you will, which led me to have a lot of self-doubts around, why am I not setting a course, and I should be the captain of my ship and setting these goals,
sort of a very
driving
hard
relentlessly.
80s business mindset juxtaposed with the reality of your experience.
And spoiler alert, the book says basically they're both important modalities of strategy, that if you are somebody who has that vision of where you're trying to go, and you're not recognizing the opportunities as they emerge, then that's not going to serve you well. Likewise, if you only ever follow the winds of change, unless you're just really happy that way, there's a good chance that you need to have more of a through line set for, like, okay, here's where I would like to go, but how I get there is
We'll see. We'll see what the universe brings us.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. So that's kind of how I've approached the career without even necessarily realizing it until like the last few years since I read that book, and it kind of gave me a framework for understanding, like, oh, well, I guess I'm just kind of good at spotting, here's the trends, and here's how the past is repeating itself, and here's the ways in which it's different.
I mean, paper versus coffee makers, it's very different. Exceptionally different. There's no nuance. Yeah. And then you're also working on a podcast, Socially Conscious AI, which another reason that we reconnected is I was looking to do this, and I said, oh, Roman's doing a podcast. I should ask him how the hell you do this.
I'm so glad that you did too, because that actually came about because of one of my, I guess, areas of passion is I've enjoyed podcasting, but I've really enjoyed trying to help other people start their podcasts. It's a lot more doable than it seems.
It is.
It's also a lot more work than you probably anticipate when you start.
So much more work. We were talking about my backlog. I am well delayed.
Yeah. So it's funny how it's both easier than it seems and also a lot of work. But I think that's one of those things you find out pretty quickly whether you love it or not. And if you love it, then it doesn't necessarily
seem like work. I was thinking about that as I pulled up this morning, and I was grabbing my bag out of the passenger seat, and all I could think was, well, time to get to work. And then I stopped and I was like, I love this. This is wild.
Yeah.
It's work, but I don't care.
Well, your show in particular, I mean, just having a depth of conversations that where else can you go to find that? Podcasts are really unique in that sense.
It seems like every podcast is, and whatever you're looking for, you can find something on it by somebody who's fascinated on it, on the subject.
Yeah, that's
And,
also a
and
good point.
loves, like you were describing the people sharing everything they know about UX. There is somebody in that mode on every little subject you could look for. Mine happens to be just figuring out how the hell people operate and sort of demystifying all the differences between us, because I think we're all doing our dang best. And I think highlighting that is important to me.
It is a beautiful thing about the human condition, how we're all the same,
Yeah.
and yet so wonderfully different.
Wonderfully different. It is a wonderful thing.
Right.
Like, we all have these utter fascinations.
Yeah.
And if we didn't all have different fascinations, I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. So the Socially Conscious AI podcast came out as a result of my interest in helping other people start podcasts. I had a friend who was saying, I got an idea for a podcast. I'm really interested in it. And the more I worked with him to help develop the show, eventually he's like, why don't you just do the show with me? And I was like, yeah, why don't I? That sounds fun.
Yeah.
And so Socially Conscious AI is about kind of countering all the doom and gloom about AI. There's certainly legitimate reasons to be concerned about AI. There's a lot that could go wrong. But to only focus on that, or to just, I guess, kind of cavalierly throw around these ideas, AI is going to replace all of our jobs and all that, is to undermine the potential upside.
Agreed.
And so our show seeks to highlight innovators and leaders, people who are using AI for social and environmental good, socially conscious AI.
Sure.
Kind of similar, different format, but similar thing. You get to have these really cool conversations with really cool people that I have no organic reason to know or meet, and find out how they're using AI to address climate issues. We talked about the hurricane this year that was just unprecedented.
Just destroyed, yeah.
Traditional machine learning models learn off of the existing data. So if you have something unprecedented, how can you really predict the thing that nobody's anticipating?
Mm-hmm.
Where I think generative AI has a lot more potential to imagine the consequences. And
that's a great point.
yeah, the key breakthrough on that one in particular has just been that it's able to run what used to require specifically a supercomputer for hours and at very high cost. And this, you can do a pretty good simulation, but you can do many, many, many of them. Mm-hmm. So you can assess the extremes from here's a crazy, unlikely weather event that you would never run at the expense of a supercomputer because you can't just throw these things away.
That's right. That makes sense.
Now you've got this Gen AI model that can consider crazy things that you've never thought before.
Right. Yeah, and as our compute capacity increases, we'll have more opportunities to do more of that sort of forward-looking, interesting, speculative work, I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah.
Just
what happens if we get a 500-year rain? What happens if we get a drought and then a rain? What happens if we get rain and then a drought?
What happens if we get 2 years of good rain and then a dry 11 months?
Yeah.
And we don't clear the brush properly. And yeah.
If only there was a way to imagine what could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting driving in across the desert and then arriving on Monday.
I can't imagine what it even looks like up there right now.
I haven't gotten up there. I don't know if I'll get to. I think so all the entries to the PCH are kind of blocked off still. And I don't know. I would love to get up there and take a look, see how it all is, but also I don't know if I want to, man.
Yeah.
I don't need to subject myself to that. These are places that I've loved.
It's heartbreaking, and it's been a good reminder for us, because I remember probably 3 years ago, there was a fire here in Laguna Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad calls from out of state. Hey, I just heard there's fire over there. And
yeah.
I said, oh, we're fine. That's like a mile and a half from here. Because as you see, it's suburban. We're not up against the woods.
Right.
How you imagine the Palisade fire would be caused by being right up against the woodland and the brush and all that.
And all up in through Topanga, yeah.
We got plenty of trees and brush around here, but we're pretty far from like the actual canyon,
Yeah.
but we see that wind-driven
Those Santa Anas are
sparks.
wild. Yeah.
That's when I'm like, oh, we got to take this a lot more seriously, because certainly it's not going to be the trees right here that would be the liability.
It's good. There's not just one helicopter now, there's two. And they just don't care. Just right overhead. Just like right there.
Well, this is not circling today. Well, I shouldn't say that. We don't know that yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, that guy over there might. We'll see. Anyway, at least there's a big block of text I can take out with Descript. Love that tool.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
I still get a little choppy audio from it sometimes. It'll trim a little more than I want. I can't untrim, but it's worth it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know the right answer to that.
I don't either.
I
Figuring
have
it out.
tortured myself on the Descript thing, because it is great. You can get all the ums and ahs removed and all that, and
I've
get
actually stopped doing that.
good. You get a much tighter production, and
Yeah.
it's the time efficiency that I think a lot of people think that they want. But then the sound of it is so unnatural.
Yes.
It doesn't have the breadth of thought and thinking that goes into storytelling, particularly for your format. It just doesn't make sense to try to aggressively pull that stuff out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got episodes of the Socially Conscious AI podcast that some of them I tried to
Oh, it's very
aggressively.
clippy.
Yeah, and it sounds robotic and gross.
Yeah.
And then some of them I let it breathe more, but then it doesn't feel as concise as it could.
That's so. It depends on how you're looking to engage with the listener, I think. And I know we're spinning off in a different direction, but I think it's sort of highlighting the way we're using AI as a tool, and it's also highlighting the way that we're all exploring this not exactly new medium at this point. It's still broadcast, and podcasts have been around since, I don't know what, 10, 20 years.
I think, yeah.
But it's more available to anybody to be doing this, and we all get to explore how we want to engage with it. And it's going to lead to some really, really cool things, I think, in the future, just in terms of how we all interact.
Yeah, like I say, with your storytelling format, much like music,
Yeah.
it's what happens between the notes
Yeah.
that tells the story. On the other hand, if you're trying to just basically do news or a
Yeah.
What do you-
Purely informational.
right, like a corporate, here's our video about our latest release of our new toilet seats. Okay, so get all the ums
Fascinating.
and ahs out of that.
Yeah.
It collapse that down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting times. AI's gonna have really interesting impacts on every aspect of society.
Yeah. And I think I still personally believe that it's going to provide us with more opportunities. So instead of all of the corporate power and money being centralized in just a few large megacorps, I think we're going to start seeing significantly more decentralization outside of those who are actually providing some of these LLM models, which is where we currently are with AI, really, outside of some of the other generative elements. But even that, we're seeing so much competition in the space and increasingly tighter and tighter models being produced that you can run on a laptop.
Well, like we were talking about, when I learned HTML, it was 1998.
Yeah.
Nobody worked on the internet,
No.
right? A lot of people did, but
not like we
nothing
know.
compared to this.
Right.
And now, fast forward 20, 25 years, I don't think I'm misquoting this. I want to say that I believe it's John Deere is one of the biggest software creators on the planet. They're not a tractor company, they're a technology company. And at that, they're a software company. And if it's not John Deere, it's one like that. But John
Sure.
Deere also is a
software
massive
company.
software creator.
Is this all control software for their
For
combine?
the tractors, but for also the sales cycle, the maintenance thing. Like, if you think
Oh,
about
wow.
all the
Yeah, do
systems
that
that we
in-house.
have now, all have this software underpinning. And so they have to create staggering amount of software systems.
Never guessed that.
So now there was a CEO, I don't remember which one, that I heard say it, and yeah, it's easy to dismiss at the time. It's like, every company is a technology company now. Like, oh yeah, I see what you mean, but it really is true. Likewise, I feel that the trajectory of that, every company in just a few short years is an AI company.
I'm sure of that.
And the
Everybody
same way
leveraging
nobody
agents.
worked on the internet at the time, everybody's going to work on AI.
Yeah.
And whether it's building the AI or working with the AI, configuring it, using it in some capacity.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's going to have a tremendous negative impact on jobs overall, especially on the long term. But even really in the short term, I don't think it's going to be all that negative.
Yeah. I'm curious about that. I end up on both sides of this conversation. The conversation I had yesterday was largely saying, yeah, we're really not hiring junior developers anymore. We're just going to have senior staff or principal engineers managing and being SMEs for these AI structures for development, which and I talked about this literally yesterday. So in the episode right before this one comes out,
Yeah.
there's a bit of discussion around what do we do with all these junior developers, and going on the Reddit computer science subreddits, the kids are freaking out.
Yeah.
Like they were promised riches and jobs based on the training that they're getting or had been getting, and it's now less relevant. And it's interesting to watch. So to your point, I don't think long term it's going to be an issue. Short term, we're going to have some choppy water to get there, and it's going to be a lot of negotiation of how we get there. And we're going to see overreach, and we're going to see underpreparedness, and it's going to be hard. But I do have an optimistic outlook personally.
Well, it is a very good point, especially for people who are already in school, like planning on, going to computer science, made in the shade.
Right. And that was the way for the last 20 years, 30 years.
Which honestly, it was already getting more competitively
saturated.
I would even say it seemed like the nature of the job was becoming less rewarding, I think, for a lot of people.
Yes, more codified.
If I look at the closest parallel I can think of is a study that my company has been doing with AI. A lot of our AI software is in the service of customer service agents.
Sure.
And
we're working on similar. Yeah.
They did the research on it, and they found that when they deployed generative AI to these agents, that it was the junior agents that benefited the most.
Sure.
Because it brought them up to speed a lot faster.
Yeah.
So the new people didn't have to wait on a lead or a manager to come and help them answer a question as long.
They could be more self-serving.
More self-service and help kind of guide them into best practice. What's the right thing to say to the customer? Because you get a little summary put out for you automatically. So now you're just kind of reviewing it and making sure that it's appropriate. I think a lot of companies look at the opportunity with AI to be like, how do I have fewer customer service representatives? I mean, obviously that's an understandable goal and approach. I think the exciting opportunity is to how do I make the ones I have more effective and productive?
That's a good angle. Yeah.
I don't know how Pollyanna that perspective is. Where the rubber hits the road, a lot of companies are looking at bottom line, especially when capital's tight, which we've been in that cycle for a while now.
Back. Yeah. And I think the side effect of that is, okay, there may or probably will be fewer or no customer service roles in the way that you're describing it, but those people are going to have opportunities to do something that's potentially a little more interesting to them. Maybe some people love taking customer service calls. I know I'm not always great at treating them very well after it's the fifth person I've spoken to. Must be frustrating to them. Brutal. And I feel like maybe this gives them an opportunity to find something that they're looking to do and empowers or enables them to learn the skills to do those things.
Right. Most of those customer service centers are organized around a notion of tiers. So your tier one agent is the one who answers the call and asks you to tell you your name and address and phone number and all that.
Redirecting you to the right tier two and
tedious.
Yeah.
And then there's tier 2 and tier 3 and so on.
Now I feel Pollyanna about this. Yeah.
We might legitimately run into the scenario where tier 1 gets wiped out, served by AI. But if that's freeing people up to work at tier 2, and that's just the new baseline, then that doesn't sound all bad. I think the challenge comes on the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like right now, if you have a call center with 500 people in it, and ultimately that aspect of the job could be replaced, how many of those people are now retained to serve it at tier 2?
Yeah.
So definitely understand the concern there. And likewise on developer jobs, like, okay, if it's harder to come in at ground level because we're looking for senior people who can operate the AI, presumably, if nothing else, the schools start turning out AI-ready engineers, from day one who can
And they're
come
going
in
to
and
have
do that
to,
role.
because a lot of people are going to be self-learning all of this on the side.
That's bonkers how much you can learn for free.
Bonkers. Bonkers. Yeah, I had some analysts that worked for me, and they just kept up-leveling their skills through, I mean, not for free at that point, but doing things like Udemy.
Right.
And a couple other self-learning courses coming out, and I'm happy to have them. And I don't need to go hire somebody who's already proficient in Python. I don't have to go hire somebody who already knows whatever we're looking for.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go figure it out themselves if that's what's required for the job. Curiosity is a wonderful thing.
I do think we're at an inflection point around this notion of productivity where the dream is that the standard American work week is 20 hours because AI can enable us to do so much more with less time. But in my observation, we've never moved in that direction.
Never.
All the tools and automation we have.
That just means we can get more done in a shorter time.
Do more with less.
So we're still pushing 80 hours a week.
Right.
And that's not sustainable, clearly.
I don't know how we do things such that we're even more productive. We're the engine behind the global economy while also working less and spending more time with our families. And not burning out. That's a hard mindset shift to make throughout the whole culture. I'd like to think we could do it, but I don't know. Remember in the pandemic when we were all supposed to be
the opposite of a post-scarcity world was the pandemic.
Right. We're all going to be doing chair yoga and enjoying our wellness benefits.
I assumed everybody was going to meditate more. I was very wrong.
And then as soon as the economy turns, now it's back to grind.
Yeah, but now with less time in commute, so more time at work.
If that's the one good thing that came out of it, I will gladly take it. I cherish working from home.
Same. As much as, depending on the executive of choice, that could be antithetical to their understanding of productivity. I think that's a little out of touch.
I know we're recording here.
It's okay.
I have a conspiracy theory on that.
Oh.
RTO policies
Yes.
are driven by corporations' exposure to commercial real estate.
I believe that is a large part of it. And the tax incentives associated with being in a downtown area and all of that. And a third layer of that is it is a great way to get rid of excess staff without paying out benefits.
Stealth layoffs, for sure.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the public relations hit of saying, oh, we're laying off all these people.
I think it's becoming a different public relations hit. Because when people start saying that, it's like, oh, we know what you're doing. This is self-serving and destructive to the people that have been putting in time.
But it doesn't sound like, oh, we're in financial trouble, so we got to let a bunch of people go.
Everyone's in financial trouble.
My whole thing is like, okay, I'll come back to the office as long as, is the whole team going to work here locally together? No, we're not going to stop having people in other countries that we collaborate with. It's too wonderful. It's amazing. So then what's the point of going to the office to get on Zoom?
Exactly. And that had been my experience of work for years prior to that. Right. Go into the office to go talk to the people in Singapore.
That's right. That's right.
And nobody that was in the office was working on my project anyway, because we were a global.
That's right.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, there are numbers that say, oh, productivity is better. And various and sundry folks will cling to that.
Yeah.
And you have to, I think, analyze or at least pay lip service to the idea that maybe your organization isn't structured to succeed that way. And you can divest yourself of these pricey assets.
Right.
Or use it to get rid of people in a stealth layoff and then get rid of those assets and set yourself up to be better situated financially.
Right. They'll take the mark down eventually.
Mm-hmm. They'll have to. Everyone's going to.
Yeah. As a workshop facilitator, I'm the first one to say, like, hey, it's so much better when we're here together
oh my God,
in person. We can have a day or a week worth of in-person collaboration, focused.
And making it an
Amazing.
event that people are going to makes it special, and they're going to be a little more focused than they might otherwise be if it was their daily 30 to 90-minute commute each way.
That's right.
I know folks who say, yeah, if they're going to force RTO, well, I'm going to leave at 9 and get to the office when I can. And I'm going to leave such that I get home at 5 because I am not giving back the time that I've recouped in my life without the commute. Like, it turns out there's significant value to that.
Oh yeah. 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 So like I said, as a facilitator, I totally see that being in person is
Yes.
awesome, but we're not going to give up the advantages we found through remote. So I think just being, designing those meaningful moments that matter, come together, build some notion of team.
And we're all negotiating all of this. We're figuring our way through it. It's another societal evolution, and I'm here for it. Like, everybody gets so worried about, oh, we're doing it right, we're doing it wrong. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Can't get too caught up in that.
I heard somebody who defines the singularity a little bit differently than the post-humanism.
Right.
The
Transhumanist movement. Yeah.
typically we think of the singularity as the moment when the computers are so much smarter than us that we don't even understand them. Okay. So that's one version. But I heard somebody else, and I wish I could give credit to it, but define the singularity as the moment at which all of our established knowledge is no longer set and known, that everything we think we know, you have a paradigm, and used to you'd have a paradigm shift that would come along every 1,000 years and then every 100 years.
Sure.
And now we're just in perpetual
The cadence is near zero.
shift.
Yeah.
Right. Everything is just, oh, that's cool.
That was cool.
He's
I
the one
saw him
cool
come
bird.
by. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him drift. Okay, anyway, sorry. Squirrel.
No, that was a good one though. Yeah. So all these systems and cultural norms and all these things that we take for granted as just being like the rules by which we operate are now just all of them up for debate at all times.
And I think that's so healthy.
Yeah.
No?
I mean,
we love stability, but bro.
that's the thing, is the trade-off, right? It's like, what's the thing about if you wear the same outfit every day, you don't have to think about what the hell am I going to wear today.
I was thinking about that on the ride here too. Honestly, what do we call that? It's decision fatigue.
Yeah.
Is essentially, and there, we want to abdicate all of these things to habit so that we don't have to think about them, so we can save our capacity for potentially more important elements. But at the same time, that has led us to a system or a society where we have just stopped thinking about a lot of important things. And that pendulum is shifting back toward, we need to be rethinking some of this stuff.
Right. So now it's like when everything is up for debate at all times, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should let people ride e-bikes on the sidewalk. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
they should be in the street.
Maybe all of this ties back to the mental health crisis that we were discussing initially, where everything is up for debate and everything seems like it's a crisis at all times. And looking at people who have had to deal with that sort of lifestyle, e.g. the military or veterans or first responders, maybe we should be taking a look at that and figure out how we can integrate all of that across society, because everybody's in it right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's in it.
That's really insightful. Well, I'm excited. We've had completely new ideas today. I'm excited to hear how that plays.
I love it.
That's really cool.
Roman, thank you again. We'll do the wrap up, but thanks for having me out. I really appreciated you responding when I reached out on some stuff. You've been a huge help to me on getting this moving.
Thanks.
And man, I really appreciate reconnecting with you. This has been a fun friggin' conversation.
Yeah, this is a rare treat. I have to do more of this.
Yeah. I say this every episode. God, I want to do this all the time. And
good, do it.
There's all the other pieces of it that are just brutal. At some point I'll have to get an editor or something.
Yeah. In time, but
we'll get there.
That was actually one of my notes for 2024 going into 25 is do things that don't scale.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to systematize everything and be more efficient at it. And I'm like, what?
There are people and platforms that can manage that for us. Yeah. And then I got to figure out video. I think you were the one that told me start it before it's too late, or start it before you need it.
Oh, I don't know. That's actually, and we can wrap.
Yeah, we'll wrap. But dude, seriously, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
I appreciated this.
Really fun.